We're home. Honey, you should have been there. Danny is really getting good with a bat, and Katie threw off 2 runners at second base. And I am a little tired, so I think what I'm going to do is catch the end of the game on TV and then maybe take a nap.
Hey, I'm glad you spent time with the kids, and I appreciate you getting started on the garage. But now, I have a number of things I need to get done, and you're going to take a nap?
When did napping become a crime?
I didn't say it was a crime. It's just that when there's so much to be done around here, I get irritated when you're lazy on the weekends.
Lazy? You forget that I work all week. You know, I think the problem is you being compulsive. Do you ever just sit and relax? You're a whirlwind of activity all the time.
Right, well, what's a better use of time? Is you watching the tube or finally getting a project done around here?
Yeah, maybe you should be spending more time with me and the kids on weekends instead of being so busy all the time.
In case you haven't noticed these past 6 weeks, or even in your own years of marriage, when you're working on your marriage, even when you're sensing growth in your marriage, you're still going to have conflict. What you might not have noticed, though, is this. Not all conflict is the same, and the rules are different for different types of conflict. In many conflicts, there's really no right or no wrong, and in this session, we want to help you figure out what's behind the conflict you're having. Then you may be better equipped to find a solution acceptable to both of you and to the relationship as well. So let's look at 6 common marital conflicts.
Conflict number 1 is due to the sin of one spouse. In this simple scenario, there is a culprit. One spouse has sinned against the other. There's a true infraction, not an imagined one. And there's no shortage of areas in which we can sin. Angry outbursts, loss of self-control, impatience, critical attitudes, lying, controlling behavior, name-calling, selfishness, or even addictions. Humility and grace are the 2 most important attitudes that the Bible suggests in dealing with someone else's sin. Do not minimize the sin of your spouse, and ask him or her not to minimize yours. Go tough on the issue, and here's the key, but soft on the person. Like Jesus said, and like he did, face sin with both grace and truth.
The immaturity or brokenness of one person leads to conflict number 2. All of us will fall short of the demands of life, but most people get married totally unaware of their spouse's shortcomings. In every relationship, the reality of the 2 people involved, like their immaturity and their brokenness, really eventually surfaces. And when it does, it's very important to face that reality and deal with that reality. Equality and mutuality, instead of an attitude of being superior, can really solve a lot of problems if you're working as a team. Make the equality mutual. Make the problems mutual, so then you can help each other.
Conflict number 3 comes with hurt feelings that are no one's fault. Because we all have hurts and things to which we are sensitive, innocent things will sometimes set us off. What is important is that we learn how to deal with this kind of hurt where no one's really wrong. After all, marriage is a place where old hurts inevitably get stepped on. But old hurts can heal as you respond differently to your spouse than he's been responded to in his, quote, past life. Though you can't fix your spouse, you can become a healing agent with empathy, understanding, non-defensiveness, and care.
Conflicting desires are at the root of conflict number 4. Whenever you have 2 people, you'll have some conflicting desires. After all, 2 different people bring differences to the table. In fact, your differences are really part of what brought you together. You complement each other. Normally, 2 people develop a pattern of give and take, and differences really get negotiated, but sometimes there's a stalemate. Instead of fighting for your own way, give in to the preference of your spouse as a learning and stretching experience. Try to see the activity through your spouse's eyes. You might learn to enjoy something you never thought possible. Your marriage relationship can grow you and expand you if you let it. So let it.
Conflict number 5 is at the core a conflict between the desires of one person versus the needs of the entire relationship. Sometimes the desire of one spouse conflicts with the needs of the relationship itself. The problem comes when either the marriage always wins or an individual always wins. The marriage benefits as each member grows, but keep it in balance. Make sure that the marriage gets served first. Also, over the long haul, see that the marriage sometimes goes on the back burner at times for each individual member, and that each member has learned that the marriage is more important than his or her individual wants.
Known versus unknown problems fuel conflict number 6. We all have aspects to our personalities and character that we don't know about. As King David said, "Who can discern his errors? Forgive my hidden faults." David knew there were things about himself he didn't know. In marriage, your spouse may know more about you than you do. Learn what your spouse knows about you, then work together to solve the problem. Furthermore, you may both become aware of problems that you hadn't known about before.
After you talk about these 6 conflicts, we'll consider how to solve conflicts with the spouse who supports the idea of boundaries as well as with a spouse who doesn't.